Today I'm going to give you 5 tips for balancing in lunge pose. Hi, I'm Dr. Melissa West and welcome to Living Your Yoga. Today's question comes to us from YouTube. I am new to yoga and this is my second video in your beginner series. I enjoy very much how I feel after. Thank you. I think that's great. However, I did have a difficult time with my balance on the lunges and even took it back a little bit so as not to have such a wide stance. I feel I have pretty average balance. I wonder if this is normal or if I wasn't relaxed or if my mind was too full to concentrate. Just a thought. So I'm going to link to the show notes what beginner class that this person was talking about. They had a username, so it's hard for me to tell what their real name was. And today I'm going to offer you 5 tips and 2 stretches for a better balance in lunge pose. So the first tip is to really pay attention to your front foot in lunge pose. So let's actually come into the lunge pose so I can show you. So pay attention to your front foot in lunge pose. Check that your weight is evenly distributed between your inner and the outer edge of your foot, and then between the heel and the ball of your foot. Notice the 4 corners of your foot from the base of your big toe to the base of your little toe to your inner heel and your outer heel. Notice if you're rolling in and rolling out on your foot. So you want your weight to be evenly distributed, side to side and front to back. And then also while you're here, just double check that your knee is over your ankle. The second thing that you can do while you're in lunge pose to help with your balance is, so number 2, spread your toes. So lift and spread your toes. When you spread your toes, you're going to have a wider base of support. Now I'm going to show you a stretch to help you spread your toes in lunge pose and any standing posture for that matter. So if you sit with your legs out long in front of you, cross one leg over and you put your fingers between your toes. That will help you spread your toes and you can bend them forward and back. So that's a really great stretch to create more space between your toes and widen your base. Okay, my third tip for balancing in lunge pose is to pay attention to your back shin. So let me show you lunge pose again. The more you can connect your back shin to the ground, the more you have more connection, more contact with the ground, and it's more easy to balance. So actually most of the day your foot is in flexion like my front foot is. So when you're standing or you're sitting in chairs, your foot is in flexion. So I'm going to show you a stretch for the front of your ankle so that more of your shin can be on the back of the ground with your back leg. So what you're going to do is you're going to come into a kneeling position, sit kneeling. And if this is a challenge for your knees, you can always put a rolled up blanket between your knees. And what you're going to do is just lift one knee at a time. And that'll stretch out the space at the fronts of your ankles so that more of your shin can connect to the ground in lunge pose, making you have more contact with the ground, more support on the ground in lunge pose. My 4th tip for balancing in lunge pose is to widen your stance. Now this YouTube student spoke about widening their stance by actually shortening their base, which might help as well, but I think that when I think of widening my stance, I would widen it this way, like wider on my yoga mat. So take your foot out to the side more so that rather than narrowing the base this way, widen it this way, left to right. So this will help with your balance quite a bit. Creates more space between your right and your left foot, and that'll widen your base of support. My final tip, my 5th tip for balancing in lunge pose is to use props. You can take 2 yoga blocks, and if you're new to yoga, you might not have blocks, so you could use 2 boxes of almond milk, or you could use a couple of soup cans or something like that from your kitchen, or you could even use a chair and put them in front of you and put the blocks on either side of your foot and use those to help you with balance. So play around with what height makes it easiest for you to increase your balance, or the chair. And that could help with your balance as well. So those are my 5 tips for having an easier time with balancing in lunge pose. If you have any tips for balancing in lunge pose, I'd love to hear them. You can leave your comments below. And also for all the links to my beginners classes, I put them in my show notes as well. And we're always adding new beginners classes as well. So I've added our YouTube playlist for our beginners classes, which we're continually adding beginners classes as well. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Thanks so much for watching. Namaste.
Melissa would love to hear your questions and thoughts. Please leave your comments below the video. Thank you for your reviews on iTunes and YouTube. Your reviews help us to share yoga and a yoga lifestyle with others around the world. If you have a question for Melissa, you can leave a voice message at melissawest.com, and Melissa may answer it in an upcoming blog.